Welcome to the online course Grammar Rules to Keep and Some to Break, presented by Grammar Relief. For over 29 years, our professional proofreaders and grammar gurus have helped creative writers correct and perfect their writing, and even get published. Now, you too can benefit from our years of expertise. We're excited to share our tools and techniques with you. In these fun-to-watch educational lessons, you'll learn important grammar tips and develop the key writing skills needed to achieve your personal, professional, and creative writing goals. The Grammar Relief courses are designed for writers of all levels, and you can watch and participate in the lessons at your own pace on your own schedule. With Grammar Relief, your writing will improve, and you'll quickly master the essential elements necessary to make your writing more enjoyable for your readers. In this course, we'll learn about some grammar rules you should keep, the grammar rules you can break, how to maneuver through tricky capitalization situations, and 2 easy-to-use literary techniques that will help your writing sparkle. We're excited to get started. Let's begin. For many writers, grammar rules are trusted guides through the sometimes murky world of creative writing. If you want to be a good writer, you should follow the rules, right? Well, put down that red pen and close your style guide, because the grammar gurus here at Writers Relief know that sometimes you can and even should break grammar rules. What? Yes, it's true. There are more than a few grammar guidelines that, contrary to popular belief, aren't written in stone. While many writers believe this is true, it isn't. You can end a sentence with a preposition, words dealing with location in space or time, at, for, from, with, and sometimes rearranging a sentence simply to avoid ending with a preposition will sound pretentious and stuffy. From where did this candy come? Better, where did this candy come from? Conjunctions and, but, or typically connect independent clauses. But, see what we did there? Starting a sentence with a conjunction is also grammatically correct because it shows the sentence has a connection to the sentence before it. Or, we did it again. You might want to start a sentence with a transitional word so that the tone is less formal. While the worlds of formal English and academia frown upon the use of contractions, they are perfectly acceptable in less formal writing like blog articles and creative writing. If you're writing dialogue, you want it to sound natural and reflect the way the characters speak, not like they swallowed a grammar guide. Writing a sentence without a subject, noun, and predicate, action, will land you in grammar jail. Likewise, if you write a sentence that's too long and don't use the proper punctuation to separate clauses, you'll be pulled over by the grammar police for speeding. So, avoiding sentence fragments and run-on sentences would seem to be rules you should never break. Not so. Strictly following these rules can lead to a lack of variety in sentence structure. In fact, sentence fragments are great for emphasis, and run-on sentences can signify intense emotion. Many of us were taught all paragraphs should be roughly equal length and contain no fewer than 5 sentences. But in creative writing, it's often more natural to let your paragraph lengths vary in your short story. If your writing will appear online, shorter paragraphs are easier to read on a mobile device and will hold your reader's interest better than large blocks of text. You may have learned that they is only a plural pronoun used to refer to a group of people. But the world is constantly evolving, and so is the English language. If you are writing about a person who uses they as their pronoun rather than he or she, it is correct and inclusive to use it. And if you are referring to a single person whose gender is not specified, you can use the pronoun they according to APA style in Merriam-Webster. While this has long been a grammatical no-no, double negatives are perfectly okay if you are writing dialogue. Ain't nothing wrong with being authentic to a character's way of speaking. Sometimes, without a double negative, you can't get no satisfaction. The infinitive form of a verb starts with to. For example, to go or to be. In the Victorian era, grammar experts decided that infinitives should never be split, and some of today's grammarians might still agree. Remember, language isn't static, it's constantly changing, and every once in a while a split infinitive simply gets the message across better. It's time to boldly go into a future where die-hard Trekkies split infinitives without fear of repercussions. Whether or not to use slang in your writing will depend on the context. You'd be perfectly correct to wear sneakers with jeans or shorts, but try pairing those high tops with a ball gown or tuxedo at your cousin's fancy wedding and see how fast you earn a scornful glance from Aunt Gertrude. The same is true for using slang, which is by definition informal. If you have characters who are speaking in a casual dialect or are using it to create a certain mood in your poetry, then slang is completely appropriate. But if you're writing a formal essay or a wedding invitation, slang should be avoided. Can you dig it? If you ask some grammarians the question, "How are you?" they will insist the only correct answer is, "I'm well." In this case, well refers to being in good health. But "I'm good" is also acceptable, since it can refer to your overall sense of being. Example, "You ate 56 Kit Kat bars? How are you?" "I'm good, thanks," and also very full. We're not saying you should break grammar rules all the time. That would be grammar anarchy. But if it makes sense for your writing, it's okay to break a rule now and then. The idiom, "a capital idea," means a wonderful, brilliant thought. All Writer's Relief grammar experts think it's a capital idea to know when to capitalize the common names of family relatives, as well as any degrees your brainy cousins might receive from colleges or universities. Unless you want to be forever banished to the kids' table at every holiday gathering, you don't want to mess up when family's involved. We've also reached into our grammar grab bag for a few bonus tips on using off of and like versus as. Capitalizing can be tricky, especially when family's involved. Of course, all first and last names should be capitalized. That's a no-brainer. But like any family, throw in some aunts, dads, cousins, and possessive nouns, and suddenly things get a bit more complicated. When should you use lowercase? If the common noun name is preceded by a possessive pronoun. For example, she's going to have a talk with her mother. Or his father likes playing bingo. Similarly, when using terms of endearment, lowercase the nicknames. For example, I'm jealous of his relationship with his mom. Or my dad is the best. When do you capitalize the common noun name? If the common noun is used as a substitute for the person's name. For example, she's going to have a talk with mother. Or he likes playing bingo with father. Or if the common noun is used as a title. For example, I'm so excited about Cousin Jill's bridal shower. Or they attended Grandma Brian's funeral. By following these basic capitalization guidelines, you can rest assured that no one in your common noun family will feel slighted or improperly identified. And hopefully, all your family get-togethers will be drama and mistake-free. Even the best writers sometimes aren't sure when to capitalize the name of the degree they received from a college or university, whether they have a master's, bachelor's, or doctorate. So the Writer's Relief proofreaders have simplified the capitalization rules for you. Here's the rule about how and when to capitalize the name of your degree. For general usage, don't capitalize. For example, he received his Bachelor of Arts in English. In this case, Bachelor of Arts is lowercased because it's being used as a general term of classification. English is capitalized because it's a language. Here's another look at general usage and lowercase. She earned her master's in creative writing. The only times you should capitalize are when you're abbreviating or when the name of the degree is part of that person's official title. For example, I can't wait to get my MSW. Or, I have a job lined up at the university, so I'll be working with Jane Parker, Doctor of Philosophy. If you're confused about when to capitalize the title of your degree from college, just remember if you're referring to the degree itself, don't capitalize the name. If you're abbreviating or referring to the degree as part of an official title, then capitalize the degree. We've got a few grammar elements for your nerdy pleasure today. A discussion of whether you need to use of in the phrase off of, as well as clarification about using like or as. So, first things first, is it bad grammar to use off of? In general, if a preposition is unnecessary, cut it from your writing. Examples are, where did you get this phone at? Where did he go to? Contrary to the old rules, it is sometimes okay to end a sentence with a preposition, but the at and the go in these examples are superfluous, and the meaning of each question is quite clear without them. The same goes for off of. There's no need for of in the following sentence. Don't jump off of the bed. Use like to compare two nouns. This program is just like the one that was canceled last year. Or, the cats, like their owner, prefer warm spots in the sunshine. Use as to compare clauses. Just as positive reinforcement can encourage good behavior, negative reinforcement can encourage bad behavior. Ralph swam laps as if he were drowning. To help you remember, like is a simple word used in everyday dialogue, so it should be followed by a simple noun. The coffee tastes like mud. As is more formal, so it should be followed by a clause that contains a noun and a verb. The painting looks as I expected it would. As writers, we're always eager to add more skills to our writing bag of tricks, and two of the trickiest sounding literary devices are parataxis and hypotaxis. While they may seem like a pair of magic spells used by your favorite wizard or the main characters in an ancient Greek comedy, parataxis and hypotaxis are writing styles that can enhance your poetry, short story, novel, and memoir. And we've put together a few tips on how to use parataxis and hypotaxis correctly when writing. Parataxis is a writing style that places clauses one after another without connecting words, conjunctions, to show the relation between them. The sentences are arranged in no particular order in this side-by-side style, since there is no hierarchy to their importance level. Each sentence has an equal amount of weight placed on it. A famous example of parataxis: I came, I saw, I conquered. Not so famous example of parataxis: Pat made an apple pie. Apple pie is his favorite food. No sentence or clause has any more emphasis or importance placed on it than another. In our not-so-famous example written by our hungry editor, you have been given two facts about Pat and nothing more. But we do agree with Pat. Apple pie is quite tasty. Hypotaxis is the opposite of parataxis. It uses conjunctions and pronouns to connect a sentence's main clause to its dependent elements. These complex sentences introduce a hierarchy of importance and show your readers the cause and effect in the sentences. A famous example of hypotaxis: after the lions had returned to their cages, creeping angrily through the chutes, a little bunch of us drifted away into an open doorway nearby, where we stood for a while in semi-darkness, watching a big brown circus horse go harumphing around the practice ring. A not-so-famous example of hypotaxis: since apple pie is his favorite food, Pat decided to bake one. Then he'll enjoy apple pie with ice cream for dessert later tonight. Since in the first sentence and the use of the subordinate clause show us that Pat decided to bake an apple pie because it is his favorite. All the other information expands on Pat's love of apple pie. We have still learned some facts about Pat, but now we also know why these events occurred and in what order. Maybe Pat will be inspired to share his delicious apple pie dessert with a deserving editor. Parataxis and hypotaxis both have their place in writing. However, using them correctly is key to keeping your readers engaged without confusing them. When to use parataxis. Parataxis creates short, choppy sentences with a staccato rhythm. This style is effective when creating a stream of consciousness effect or during dialogue, since it can mimic the way people talk. It also works well when describing something your narrator is watching. When to use hypotaxis. Hypotaxis is best used for establishing development in your writing. It can also be used to provide an emotional touch, or for persuasion, or to argue a certain point. You should use hypotaxis when it's not just the actions that are important, but also the motivation and reasoning behind them. Writing, like life, needs a healthy mix of simplicities and complexities to keep it interesting. Be sure to balance parataxis and hypotaxis in your writing, rather than focusing solely on one style or the other.